Oh, I am so excited about this weather. Starting to actually see the ground. There's definitely some snow patches all around here, but this is fantastic. So I got a lot of projects I'd like to get done this year with the garden, getting food grown for our family. And one of the first things I can do here while the ground is still pretty sopping wet, I'm hoping things have thawed out enough where I can get some fence posts out. Last fall we processed our pigs, and almost like right after we got that done, things froze up really quick, and I did not get any of that mess cleaned up. So we had to look at the stuff all winter long. The ground was too frozen. I just couldn't get it out. So that's one of the projects I'd like to get done today, is get that stuff cleaned up. So you can see here's a little bit of my mess that I created this spring. I decided to move the truck and try to get the Cub Cadet pulled out at one point. And you can see I just ended up rutting everything up. I actually got things stuck, had to come back the next morning after things had frozen up a little bit to get things undone. So one thing we've been trying out the last couple years is we try to use our pigs in locations where we had crops the previous year in our garden that are very heavy on the nutrition usage. So for example, something like corn, very heavy nitrogen using crop. And the previous year, before last year, we had corn here. So this year we ended up putting our pigs in that area, and that way we're always rotating crops, and the pigs are putting some nutrition back into the soil with a lot of the manure. However, we have run up against a couple little struggles or things I'd like to improve on. A lot of times it's us doing a lot of the physical work at the end of the year. So this year, or last year, we grew corn all the way around this, and then at the end of the year, we came in, we chopped the corn down, and we were the ones cutting it, spending time throwing it into the pig pen. They consumed it, and therefore it turned around. But I feel like if we had the flexibility to move this stuff around a little bit better, instead of using hog panels, using something a little bit more flexible like electric fencing, makes it a little bit easier. We can easily start to move those pigs around our garden as we start harvesting things in the fall time. They can take care of all the cleanup. There's way less work for us to handle. So that's one thing I'd like to move to. The only thing I'm not really sure about is how I want to tackle. Do I go out and spend a little bit of money on electric fencing somewhere down the road? Maybe do a hybrid type setup where you do some hog paneling and then off one end spend a little time making it so that can get moved around a little bit? Or do we move them all the way to electric type fencing? We were always a little hesitant to set up electric fencing just because we have our about to go on 8-year-old daughter and a lot of her friends running around during the summer. Just don't want to run the risk of someone getting zapped. We do have a lot of electric fencing stuff laying around. Every once in a while, if we get in the fall and we start having problems with raccoons and stuff like that that start coming into our corn or something, wanting to eat stuff, we can easily set up electric fencing pretty quick, help keep them out as we're approaching that corn becoming ripe, and save ourselves a little bit of a lost crop in those type of situations. But it's generally a very short window where when you start putting pigs on electric fence, there's definitely some training time that gets involved in this, and it's a path we haven't gone down, so I'm not sure what our plan is for the following year. Thing I like to do is actually get the rest of these T-posts pulled. We got 3 rows here that we usually put tomatoes, and I actually started pulling this back one last fall because I needed some of the T-posts to build that confinement area on the pig pen, just so we had an area to kind of process them when that time came. And then you can see I got this ugly eyesore of all this brush here, and actually I think that's prickly ash that I hauled back in the fall because, one, I wanted to get a little revenge on that stuff, and then 2, I'd like to actually chip it up in our garden. This front little section here, we were trying this back to Eden stuff, and it's an ongoing battle. You know, these chips keep breaking down. They're nice because they help maintain or reduce weeds, but you can see it's an ongoing battle. The chips just break down, which is nice because it replenishes the soil and everything, but I need to get more and more of this stuff mulched up. So I have a small chipper. It's like I guess you could say it's like washing a gymnasium floor with a toothbrush. but we can at least get that eyesore cleaned up today. So I'm gonna go get some fresh gas and we'll address that. We'll throw a little bit of stable in this and then pull out the old chipper and get to work on that. So part of the reason I picked up diesel as well is I have this heater here. I just happened to run out of fuel for this. This can either run on diesel or kerosene. Kerosene actually is a lot better using in a tighter core. You just don't get as much stink. There's a lot more sulfur that's in diesel fuel. But I usually use it out here in the pole barn, pretty open, and really comes in nice and handy when working on projects. You're touching those cold tools in the winter and your hand just go numb right away. Having this around really makes a world of a difference. The other reason I have this is not just for the heater, but if the neighbor comes over and helps us out, he does that quite often from time to time. It's always nice to be able to have a little diesel fuel to top off his tractor. So. So it felt good to get revenge, but I'm not really sure who won the battle here. I still got pretty beat up. As a big person, I don't like that prickly ash. I go out and cut firewood, and man, that stuff just tears me up. Looks like I've been in a fight with a cat. So here's something a little interesting. If you stack your wood facing north-south, look at how much snow is still on the north side of this. And if you come to the south side, there's no snow at all. And now you look back at a lot of this, there's no snow on either side of the pile that's facing east-west. So kind of an interesting observation here is what direction to stack your wood drying. That is one thing to take a factor. However, I think a lot of this wood that actually faces south seems to dry a lot better. So this trail is still pretty wet. One thing I was pretty glad I did earlier this week is I pulled out the sled and took advantage of the snow being on the ground, and I have a bunch of wood tucked quite a ways back in there, and I don't have any way to back a four-wheeler or a truck up to. So I used that sled and took advantage of the snow, and you can see I hauled a lot of this stuff out here. So once this trail opens back up, I'll be able to just back the truck on up and load stuff up. You can still see there's a little bit of snow back there in the woods.
If I stepped in that thing, I'd be whooshing away.
Yeah, you would.
It'd be fun though. Probably.
I bet it'd be cold.
Cold it. when it warms up and it gets really warm, then I hop in there and like,
Float away.
get some rocks. What is something like so I can put in there and it go on a float?
Piece of grass?
Hmm?
Piece of grass?
Right here. Maybe you can make it smaller. But then watch this. See? It can float away. Floating this way though. Run to the mailbox. Ready, set, go!